Hello, I'm Ken Brown, one of the volunteers here at the Oviatt House. The Oviatt House was built in 1836, and our goal is to restore it back to the way it was when it was first built. We've been working on the house for several years. It's now the spring of 2025, and we are well along with the restoration process. Today we're going to walk around the house and point out various points of interest, and we'll use this stick to help us point to various interesting points. This is a piece of lath salvaged from the house. It's 188 years old. I'd like to introduce Ken Bowman. Ken is our construction manager who's been involved since day one. Ken is an expert in preservation carpentry.
Hello.
The lumber used to build the Oviatt House has been identified as old-growth poplar, white oak, and chestnut. This lumber was milled on site at a sawmill that Mason Oviatt built with his brother Erastus.
The window casings in this room are from 1836. They are original and complete. This, along with other original trim work, gave us the information we needed to replicate these moldings so that we could replace missing moldings with accurate reproductions. There were no original window sashes in the house when restoration began. The vinyl windows were replaced with custom-built 6/6 double-hung window sashes throughout the house. The stairway is not original. It is to believe that it was built around 1900. An original window was removed when the stairway was built.
Originally, the house was lit using candles and lanterns. In the late 1800s, gas lighting was installed, and then in the early 1900s, the house was electrified to power electric lighting. Evidence of the old gas lighting and knob and tube wiring still exists in the ceiling of the Oviatt House.
During the restoration project, the electrical system was updated to meet modern electrical codes. The chimney that you see here that is covered with stucco is an extremely old chimney, but it is not original. We know that by some of the framing in the house. This header here tells us the chimney came out this far at one point. Framing in the basement tells us that there was a much larger hearth here.
In the 1900s through the current times, this room was used as a dining room, and the area behind me was used as a kitchen. There was a wall right where I'm standing that was built around 1900, we think at the same time that the stairway was built. And also during that time, a side door was added to the house. The wall and the side door were both removed during our restoration process. With timber frame construction, you have horizontal beams connected to vertical posts. In the front of the Oviatt House, there are posts at each corner and one in the very center of the wall. It's because the post is in the center of the wall that the front door is offset from the center of the house.
This is the location of the original staircase. We know that by the framing in the ceiling and the framing in the basement. We know it was a winder stair, which is a type of stair that would have started here, gone up to approximately here, and a set of 3 triangular steps and continued right on up to the second floor. We know it went this direction based on these lath marks here and here. We removed a fireplace that had been installed in the 1950s that was approximately right here. When they put the fireplace in, they took an original window and moved it down to this point right over here. Once the fireplace was removed, we were able to take the window and move it back to the exact spot that it came from.
In the 1900s through current times, This room was used as a living room. The floor here was installed, we think, in the 1950s. It was installed over the original flooring, and we decided not to remove the 1950s flooring for fear that we would damage the original flooring. There had been a wall near where I'm standing that separated this living room area from a bathroom. The bathroom wasn't original to the house. In fact, we found the date 1953 on one of the walls. We removed this non-original wall and we removed the bathroom during the restoration process.
This is the location of the original back wall of the house. The reason we know that are because of these mortises up here that would have each received a stud. Sometime in the 1950s, this wall was removed and this concrete pad was poured, which came out approximately another 3 feet into the main house. We have cut the concrete back to the edge of the house to expose the original floor beam.
As restoration continued, we discovered mortises in the beams above. These mortises indicated where original walls were located. And in fact, we identified 3 rooms had originally been in the back of the Oviatt House. What we didn't know at the time was where the doorways to these rooms were located. So we exposed the lower beam, and every mortise above had a companion mortise below, except where a doorway existed, there was no mortise in the beam below. So that gave us the information we needed to locate all of the doorways to the 3 rooms. The door frames that you see were actually original to the house and had been reused around 1900 when they built the walls that we had removed. Lucky for us, these walls that they built around 1900 used original wall studs. So we took those wall studs and reused them to build these 3 rooms in their original locations.
Here's another example of timber frame construction with your beams and your post. What you see here in the middle is the end of a tenon. On either side of it are pegs holding this beam and this beam together. There's also another peg over here that is holding the wind brace.
We're on the 2nd floor of Oviatt House. Unlike the 1st floor, all of the remaining plaster is original, as well as the flooring is original to 1836. There was a 1980s era closet right here that you can see from the outline in the floor that we removed. And back here, this opening was a built-in set of chest of drawers, not original to the house. So we removed the chest of drawers, filled it in with lath. Eventually it'll get plastered in.
I'm standing in an area where a 1980s bathroom used to be. To my right, this is a hand-hewn post original to the house. To my left over here is the door to the crawl space. Above it is called a pocket window up into the wall. On my left over here is where a doorway was when we first started renovating the house. We determined that was not the original location for it, and it's now going to be a solid wall again. Over here, we have wood lath, and it's called accordion lath. And it's called accordion lath because it was nailed and split apart like an accordion. This type of lath was used mainly before 1850, so that helped us date the house. This doorway had been covered up during a previous remodel. We were able to find these casings, original casings, in the crawl space, and we determined their location by the nail holes in the stud versus the nails that were in the casing itself. We were able to do that with all the other pieces of casing in the house too.
The roof above me had been badly damaged by a tree that fell on it years ago. It required extensive renovations. Most of the sheathing on the roof is chestnut that was harvested before wormy chestnut. Up in the attic, we found this board, which was a cast off, and we took this to the College of Worcester, and they used dendrochronology to date this board, and it was determined that it came from a tree that was growing in the year 1595. As mentioned on the first floor, this chimney is quite old, but it's not original to the house. The original chimney was larger, and you can see in the floor where the original chimney was, as well as in the ceiling. And here's an example of where a potbelly stove would have entered into this chimney. I hope you enjoyed the tour.
Thanks for watching.